It was a great time.
It was a big drop for everyone.
It was a big drop. It was like literally like drop of the year was Phantom Thread soundtrack.
My name is Iliana.
And I'm Jared.
And we are the hosts of Heard It On Screen, a specialty show that plays here on KTSW every Wednesday from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And it's our show where we talk about movie soundtracks. And today we're going to talk about our top 3 favorite movie soundtracks, but in no particular order. I recently rewatched this movie for like the 1000th time.
Yeah.
It's 500 Days of Summer. I remember at like such an early age being interested in like the score and like just the soundtrack in general, and so much of that movie is like so like music led, if that makes sense. Like 2 of the characters they like meet because they're like interested in like the same band. Got like a lot of Belle and Sebastian on there. Got like some Hall and Oates. The Smiths is a big band in there, but yeah, I love that soundtrack.
That was like the bustling time of indie music. That was the year The Suburbs won Album of the Year.
Oh, see,
so yeah, 2010. So that was the indie rock renaissance. Super opposite direction. I was thinking of the Blade Runner soundtrack by Vangelis, who is an experimental electronic artist in the 80s. In the new Blade Runner, Hans Zimmer does a lot of that kind of like wall of sound, like that stuff with synthesizers. And the original is much more subdued. It's never really overbearing. It's kind of just like ambient, because the movie's based on like noir films and like kind of a detective mystery is basically like kind of the through line of the plot. There's a lot of like soft jazz influences. There's a saxophone really prominent in the soundtrack. So yeah, just a great blend of like 80s electronica and jazz.
Yeah.
A bit is the Blade Runner soundtrack, and I really love that one.
Next up, another one from kind of around this era is the Juno soundtrack.
Oh wow!
You can clearly tell here my love for 2010. Even though this is like an adult movie, they're kids, they're teenagers still in the movie, even though she's like gonna be a mom or whatever, or she's pregnant. It still focuses on these 2 like high school kids, and I feel like the music really depicts that. There's like humor involved in like some of the music, and it's not music to be taken super seriously. At the end, the 2 like main characters like play their own version of like one of the songs on the soundtrack, and it's just so lovely.
It's so cute.
It is, very cute. Cute is a good word to describe it, but yeah.
I'll mention one that I just popped in my head as we were talking about Juno, which is like actually maybe my favorite soundtrack ever. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I don't know why I didn't think of that one, but yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is such an incredible video game nostalgia sense of that, mixed with kind of the indie rock scene of the early 2010s, late 2000s. It introduced me to a lot of bands. It's he's wearing a lot of like this band. It's a lot of Canadian bands. Because it takes place in Canada. But like he's wearing a Plumtree, a lot of Plumtree shirts, and the name Scott Pilgrim like came from a Plumtree song in the 90s.
Yeah, if you didn't know that.
I didn't know that until like a couple months ago.
But is the band's name Sex Bob-omb?
Sex Bob-omb?
Yeah. And all of the songs are like 40 seconds. They're all like,
they're super energetic. They're so fast. They're like skate punk songs. I love them. They're so good. I play it whenever I'm playing them. I put them on repeat like 5 times because they're like a minute long.
I know.
But yeah, no, excellent soundtrack.
The Waves soundtrack from this film called Waves. I think it came out in like 2018, 2019.
2018 sounds right.
It just has so much like rap and hip hop artists that are just so relevant right now. I think there's like some Kendrick Lamar. SZA is on there, I know. Her, but it also has I know there's like quite a bit of Animal Collective on it too, and Frank Ocean, which is, I think that's why it's like one of my favorites. Frank Ocean allowing him to use his music like in that movie, I think just says a lot, because I feel like Frank Ocean isn't a very like, hey, use my music, do this, do that. He's such like a private person, and it's his music in that film is just so beautiful. And if you are a diehard Frank Ocean fan, his album Endless that he released to kind of like get out of a music contract is used in this movie. 2 of like the main characters, they're like you know, they're high schoolers, and I think the soundtrack is like exactly what these two characters are like into or would be listening to, and it's so defining of like who they are. But yeah, it's great. Please go see that movie.
Maybe my favorite composer just overall is someone we've talked about a lot on the show, Johnny Greenwood.
Oh yeah.
From Radiohead fame. The guitarist of Radiohead also does a lot of film compositions, and they're really excellent. But my favorite is from Phantom Thread. There's a lot of very beautiful, lush, kind of melodic, flowing orchestral stuff of like sweeping strings, things that are really pleasing to the ear, mixed with horrifying sounding horror strings that you expect in like a Psycho or a horror movie. That's really unsettling and unnerving, if not just like outright terrifying to hear.
Yeah.
And he somehow mixes these two very different sounds into the same tracks sometimes, and it creates this really interesting dissonance that came out my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
When I was in orchestra, and all the orchestra kids lost their minds when the Phantom Thread soundtrack hit Spotify. Well, those are our 3 favorite soundtracks. Listen to...
I was gonna say we have probably like 10 more.
We have a lot more. We could go on for a very long time.